Like a Hellcat.
It's a little bit better. It is a stunner from Fabio Quagliarella. It's on again for Jacko, who's in for Roma and scores.
Ciao ragazzi, and welcome to another edition of Serie, Sitdown, World Football Index's podcast of Calcio, told like it is. I'm Frank Ravello. He's Richard Carmen. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, Frank. How are we doing tonight? It's what night is it? Tuesday. It's Tuesday night. It's our night, right? Coppa Italia night, right?
Can we stop with the fucking snow already? I mean, winter had their. I mean, we had 6 last Tuesday. We got 8 between Saturday and Sunday. You're supposed to get another 3 to 5 on Thursday. And you guys got better, didn't you? You had your nor'easter, huh?
Not as bad as New York City, but yeah, we got some snow here. It's enough to make us work a lot here. And I work with maintenance and stuff, so yeah, it's been busy. But I don't mind it because this is our first real snowfall in 2 years. You get them every 2 days apparently, so you've got to find a happy medium between the two, right? Yeah,
it's just like, okay, winter's achieved their quota. I guess that it's Groundhog Day today too, and Punxsutawney Phil at least came out and said 6 more weeks of winter. Our groundhog at the Milwaukee County Zoo, whatever it is that says it's going to be an early spring, that's what he did. If he sees a shadow, it's 6 more weeks of winter, or if he doesn't, okay.
Which doesn't make sense to me. You would think it'd be the opposite. If you see a shadow, but anyway.
And I think that the one in Milwaukee is Milwaukee Gordy, or Milwaukee Morty or Gordy. I saw it on the news today, and it wasn't enough for me to care about.
Lukaku?
Except for,
I don't know.
That's donkeys, remember?
Oh, right, okay? right.
And it just wasn't enough for me to be overly concerned about it, except for the fact that they think that it's going to be an early spring. So, it's what it is. But, the groundhog's trying to predict the weather. Everybody always gets excited about January because it's always the Mercato opens and they think about all of these signings and all of this other stuff. And guess what? As always, every January, and I have to keep saying this to everybody, nothing really happens. Okay?
No, it really doesn't happen. No.
I mean, we're going to go get this guy and that guy and this guy, and we're going to reinforce our squad, and we're going to be ready, and we're going to make a big, big run. And you know what? Nothing happened. Unless you were a Milan fan where you added Mandzukic, you added Tomori, and you added Maite. I mean, there really wasn't anything that you look at across the board that wowed you. And that's what January is. Unless you're going to get a veteran coming over and you're going to get him for next to nothing that has something to give. I mean, Serie, there's not much of a reputation, Richard, for big January deals unless it's a bargain veteran player that comes in and gives the team a lift.
Yeah, and like one of those guys that you mentioned is Kevin Lasagna, moving over to Hellas Verona from Udinese. That was a nice pickup for them. But I mean, other than that, there were some little moves here and there that were nice for the teams overall, but no big splashes, like as you would say. I mean, the biggest splashes probably did come from Milan with Mandzukic, Miete, and Tomori. But I mean, just most of the teams getting rid of some dead weight. Arkadiusz Milik, anyone? And some other teams like that, they may get rid of some guys that they just didn't need anymore. So, it was a very, very quiet Mercato, as you'd expect. But it doesn't mean that the fireworks didn't stop there. Obviously, there's plenty of action on the pitch, whether it's Coppa Italia or in the league. So there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as the deadline day itself, Atalanta gets Viktor Kovalenko from Shakhtar Donetsk. If the fee is to be believed, it's another one of those just total bargains. 770,000. Kovalenko's decent. I mean, he's not like the Shakhtar guys that have left the Ukraine, in the past, but somebody that could step in and be serviceable, another attacking midfielder that Atalanta is getting for a bargain and going to try to make something out of. And, as we said, they're just going to go and buy cheap chance creators and hope they can do something. And that's how they've built it. And, that's how they'll continue to build it. So Kovalenko is in that mold. I don't rate him to the level of a Malinovsky or even Alexei Miranchuk, but he might get the pitch time to prove me wrong.
Yeah, and then talk about playmakers. They lose obviously Papu Gomez. He goes over to Sevilla, and as well as Diallo moves to Manchester United, the young prospect who had a lot of hype to him too as well. So yeah, I mean it's okay. It's an okay market for Atalanta and some of the teams. Just like you said, they had some smaller moves. I know Mandragora went to some team, I forget who it was, but he is no longer at Bologna. So I mean, there's small moves like that. So.
Let's see here. Joshua Zirkzee coming over from Bundesliga to join Parma. He was shining Robert Lewandowski's shoes, and now he might get a little bit more of a run out. Yeah. Parma need all the help they can get, so why not? The handful of times that I saw him while Bundesliga was the only game in town, seems serviceable. But if you're a 9 in that team with everybody, with the players you got behind you, you're going to look serviceable. Let's see what he does with what Parma has. And
he's young too. He's young too. So I mean, you got to develop him right, I think.
Sure. But let's circle back to Atalanta, because Alex Dono asked me this question on Friday on his radio show. Is Atalanta going to miss Papu Gomez? I want to hear your answer before I give you mine.
The town of Bergamo is going to miss Papu Gomez. He's meant so much to this club for the history. He's going to go down as one of the legends of the club. But are they going to miss Papu Gomez, the playmaker? No. I think he was MVP season last year. He's great. But Atalanta, much like Hellas, they plug and play. They put someone else in, they take over, and then they do well. And Ilicic is still there. Ilicic is obviously looks like he's back to form that he was last season, so they're not going to miss him, I don't think. And obviously, you have two potent goal scorers like Muriel and Zapata. As much as I like Papu Gomez, and I think Bergamo fans love him, the team is not going to miss him. They're not going to skip a beat and they keep going. They need help defensively, is what they need.
Michael Lisi, David Gracio, ciao, gentlemen. Good to have you in the chat. Hope all is well with you guys.
Yeah.
I said along the lines of what you said. I don't think that Atalanta as a club are going to miss him. Yeah. I think the fans are going to miss him. We're going to miss him being in Serie A.
Absolutely.
I find the transfer to Sevilla to be a curious one, because how many playmakers does Sevilla need, and where do you fit him in with everybody that they've got? I mean, Ever Banega is in there. Vasquez, when he gets his opportunities, plays, and he's in there. They've got En-Nesyri, Ocampos. They've got boatloads of guys here. So it'll be curious to see, for those that watch the Spanish game, how Sevilla make use of Papu, in that team. I felt that one of the destinations for Papu, one of the possible destinations, was Spain.
Yeah.
That made the most sense. That was very similar and along the vein. I said it here, said it on Alex's radio program. I said, don't rule Spain out as a destination for Papu Gomez, because you could, a club could look at this as, what David Silva had been for Real Sociedad for much of the season. And I looked at the standings lately in La Liga, what limited opportunities I do. I see Sociedad has tapered off a little bit.
Yeah.
But, this could be that boost for Sevilla, if they can figure out how to use them properly. So, yeah. But I'm with you. I don't think that this is something that Atalanta as a team will miss. I think that they have a system. They'll move right along. And at some point, you have to do what every other club has done in this situation. There's no player that's ever going to be bigger than the club. Yeah. And Atalanta has to approach that mentality, and that's what they did. They moved on from them, and they've got the players that are gonna be in their place. Alexei Miranchuk, which we'll talk about, that Atalanta Lazio game, he was poor in that game. I think he's the classic case of a guy that is, coming over from another league and just needs a season. And a lot of guys that come to Serie A, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
The adaptation, learning the language, adapting to the culture,
It's a more technical league than any other league, so.
And very much a more tactical league too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more to learn. Some guys can just come in and get it, like Romelu Lukaku, and then there's some guys that it just takes them some time. And I'm not ready to name anybody. It's hard to name anybody a flop after their first season. I mean, Edin Dzeko struggled in his first season at Roma, and then he was chasing down a Cabucanieri in his second year.
Yeah.
So there's an adaptation period with coming to Italy, and I think that's where it's at with Miranchuk. That's what I'll expect out of Kovalenko. And then some of these other guys. I think Xerxes is a talent, but I think it's going to take him some time to find some footing before he really, really takes off with Parma.
Yeah. Let me ask you about two teams who had better than average mercatos, because not many did, right? Milan obviously had the best, I would think. And Hellas did okay with getting Lasagna. Most teams just did blah. But two teams, I think, who had pretty decent, better than average. I would say Roma, they got El Shaarawy back, and they got Brian Reynolds, the American. And then also Sampdoria picking up Torregrosso, the former striker from Brescia. So what are your thoughts on those two moves? Obviously, Sampdoria need the help, but curious what your thoughts are on them.
Yeah. Now Sampdoria. I'll start with Roma. I'm looking forward to seeing what Brian Reynolds is going to be able to do. He's a right back. He's a young talent.
He's American.
Yep. He's American, so obviously I have a lot of interest in how he plays.
Yeah.
He comes into a situation that those positions I think are still there for the taking. Karsdorp has been good. Spinazzola has been good. They haven't been great. Bruno Perez, when he deputizes, has been reasonable.
Yeah.
Calafiore is a young talent. So there's every reason in the world to believe that Reynolds can come in and do something here. El Shaarawy, I think that's a situation where he definitely had to come home. You see, because he's still 28, and he probably still feels like he can be in the national team.
Yeah.
And if he wants to get into Mancini's head and get into his thoughts and plans, you're not going to do it playing for Shenhua in China. Okay. Yeah. Not when you have all of these attack oriented players playing at the top of their game right now here in Italy, when you've got a Lorenzo Insigne, when you've got, Chiesa is really starting to round into form for Juventus. I still don't think he's a great fit for the national team, and guys that are going to be in the spots that Stefan El Shaarawy needs to play. He needed to come home. Now you come to Roma, and he is going to be in a dogfight for playing time with a lot of these guys. Carlos Perez has not impressed yet. Nope. So that's one guy that he could certainly work his way past. And Mkhitaryan's been outstanding. He's been in our team of the half season. Yeah. Pedro has been in and out. Pellegrini's more of a midfield playmaker that just plays a little further forward. He's not, in the winger role that you would see from an El Shaarawy. So there's an opportunity for him to carve out playing time. So we'll just have to see what happens. I think Roma adds some depth.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen them get a little deeper defensively so that they don't run into a spot where they had to deputize Cristante at center back. I think that's where they might have slipped up.
Yeah.
Now, Torregrossa coming over from Brescia. Now, this is good. If Torregrossa was going to further his career, and he's 28, his best bet was going to be to go to a mid-tier club like Sampdoria where he can make an impact. I mean, Fabio Quagliarella is not going to play forever. So they're aging there. And then to Gracio's point, circling back to El Shaarawy, let's not forget Zaniolo's coming back too. Yeah. So, in terms of club and national team, another guy that he has to try to, compete with. So, but I think that Torregrossa can carve something out here. Now they've got guys like it's Quagliarella, Gabbiadini's getting up there now too. And I think that this is a decent landing area. He comes into a team that can tactically be set up to pump in crosses. When you talk about Antonio Candreva, when you talk about what Augello has meant, to Sampdoria so far and what he can do going forward. Jakob Jankto, good cross for the ball on his left foot. And Torregrossa can be a very nice box target for those kind of services. And then you have a guy like Balde who can run off of him too. So I think that that's a reasonable get for Sampdoria.
I think overall, it'll probably take a couple weeks to get into the lineup just to learn the patterns of the team and everything like that. But I think having him and maybe like a Keita Balde up top is probably really good, especially with the midfield talent they have around them and some of the wingers on the sides. Yeah, it could be what they need. They need a consistent goal scorer. Like you said, Quagliarella is not the same guy from before. He can still get those magnificent goals, but it's still few and far between. And you need someone more consistent, especially if you want to get further and further away from that relegation zone and make sure you're firmly in a midfield position and try to push forward. I think Torregrosso found a nice spot. I think, I agree with you about find a mid-table team that could really give him pitch time, which is the most important, I think, instead of just rotting on the bench when you got that kind of talent. So it's I'm excited to see that, and then also the Roma. I think El Shaarawy is a good depth player. I think more than anything he'll be coming off the bench because that midfield is pretty good. And some of the positions that he more would likely play is filled by a person who probably has that position a little bit more on hold at the moment, but anything can happen. And maybe they turn into a two attacking formation system with him and Mayoral or something. So it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see. Roma's been hot this season. So
they're still a thing here, which they feel to me like the one team in the top four that's probably the weakest of the four still, when you look at them. But
they had an impressive win this weekend, though.
What's that?
They had an impressive win this weekend, though.
Yeah, for sure. Here against Verona.
But I agree with you. Yeah.
Big opportunity for Verona. But that's Roma found a way to get it done. Where I get concerned with Roma is they're not getting it done against the traditional big six. The teams around them. They don't have a win against any of those teams yet. And if you're going to try to compete for top four, sustain that, and let's face it, 20 games in, they're only 6 points out of first. They're in this thing, but if you're going to kick on and make that next step forward, you got to beat an Inter, you got to beat a Milan, a Juve, a Napoli, a Lazio, and Atalanta. They haven't beaten any of those guys yet this season. They're very much in the trajectory. Yeah. We can talk about this here when we batch the games, but of where they're like what Lazio was last year. Lazio beat everybody they were supposed to beat. Yeah, on their way to finishing top four. That's
so important to being an upper echelon team is to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. And then you can figure out the top six teams if you to get that next.
They didn't drop silly points, and right now you're not seeing Roma dropping silly points to bad Serie A teams. Yeah, it's just their trouble is trying to get results against the teams around them, and that's what's probably stunting their upside at this point.
And what we're seeing, what we kind of expected, you've seen Inter and Juve starting to ascend now. They're kind of got their feet under them. So Roma, while they've been consistent, they need to turn it up a level, I think, to keep up and if not, pass these guys. So they got some room to grow. Maybe they found we'll talk about this when we talk about Roma, but maybe they found their new striker who's gives them a little bit more versatility up top. We'll see. We'll see, but he looked good.
I like how you brought up Inter and Juventus. You're trying to work on your segues, aren't you?
A little bit. A little bit.
So it's they took part in the first leg of Coppa Italia today, and we normally don't spend a lot of time talking Coppa Italia here on Serie. Sit down, but we'll give it some attention today because it was Derby d'Italia Leg 1. Last time these guys hooked up, Inter completely outplayed Juventus on the way to a 2-0 win. This time around, a 2-1 win for the old lady. And the game started like you could take the previous game and put it into this game and not know the difference those first 10 to 15 minutes. You really couldn't. Yeah. Because it's exactly what it was. Juve's getting the ball, they're getting the possession, they're holding it, all this other fun stuff, and it's Inter that's going to just hit on the break, and that's exactly what they did. Classic counter attack. Nicola Barella to Lautaro Martinez to make it a 0-0. And that set the tone, and you're sitting here thinking, okay, early goal, this has to play into Inter's hands because they're not the team that has to force the issue. They can be comfortable, sit and protect the 1-0 lead. It's Juve now that has to come out and try to get the away goal. So great start for Inter, right?
Yeah, no, I thought that's exactly what the kind of start they needed. And that would, like you said, play right into their hands where they just sit back, force Juve to come out of their shell a little bit, and then they counter like crazy and get some goals. what we saw from Pirlo's men was a great game plan. I think they probably expected something like this, and they kind of adjusted very well. But the start was excellent. Lautaro has been struggling as of late. He finally got a goal this past weekend, and then got a goal again. So it's good for him. And you're thinking, okay, good things are coming for Inter. Barella, obviously, he's going to do what he's going to do. He's just a magician on the ball. So yeah, it started out well, but quickly it seemed like that Juve had a game plan that they were going to go with, and it seemed to work. It wasn't the most prettiest of times, but it got the result, and that's what's important for them.
Yep. And then in the 26th minute, it all begins. A penalty that it needed to go to VAR to be awarded, and in the end, they got it right. Ashley Young just clumsily bringing down Juan Cuadrado in the penalty area, setting up Pinaldo to square the match at a goal apiece. And then just 9 minutes later, calamity is probably the best way you can describe it. Alessandro Bastoni, we put him in the team of this half season, we put him in the Squadra Finora, and this is what he does.
Yeah, I don't know. You sing the guy's praises, and his agent saying his praises, and then what does happen? He gets knocked off the ball easily by Ronaldo. Granted, it's a great play by Ronaldo to read that, and then what a finish by Ronaldo. I mean, just beautifully done, right into off the post and in the goal. What you expect from him, but what was Inter thinking at that point? What was Bastoni thinking? He had to have known Ronaldo's in the area. Why are you gonna try to dick around with it? I don't know.
Sure. And then the second half, it was a game that Inter certainly got a lot more of the ball, and Juve went more into game management mode. I didn't see the second half for me. There wasn't a whole lot of fireworks. I think that Eriksson came close when he came on, but nothing that jumped out, and it ends up being a 2-1 win for Juve. Now, the Ronaldo fanboys are going to call him man of the match because he had a penalty and he got to jump on a bad Bastoni mistake. I don't know if I go there. I thought the counter goal aside, the center back combination of Demirel and De Ligt was good. It worked.
Yeah.
And Gigi Buffon organized things really well. I mean, these are two guys that you don't often have play together. He's used to having his Bonucci and Chiellini, but I mean, really, when I look at Inter, that was the goal that they scored at the beginning of in the 9th minute. Were there any other Inter? Help me out here. I don't remember.
There was a play where it was a mix-up where I forget exactly how it broke down, but it ended up coming to Alexis Sanchez with an empty net, and Demirel made a nice save. But again, that's more about the defense. De Ligt and Demirel both playing really well. It was very Allegri-esque in a sense, which I almost thought Allegri was on the sidelines there because, Juve get the lead, and up to this point, they really hadn't been doing very well when they get the lead. Especially against the bigger teams, but they look fairly comfortable for the most part. Inter had chances here and there, but Juve was really just managing the game as you mentioned. The midfield really holding on to the ball as much as they could without when they did give it away, they were compact, they were organized, and then at the end they brought in Chiellini just for assurance, taking off McKennie. I thought it was a very professional win by Juventus, and for all those naysayers for Andrea Pirlo. You got to take a step back now and be like, okay, maybe they do know what they're doing, and maybe he knows what they're doing, and they have to be someone you have to take serious again. There's still people who, like you, are still calling for Juve to win the title, and this kind of gives you that glimmer of hope that, I think maybe you're right with the performance like that. It's a tough opponent against Inter. I for sure thought, like you said at the beginning, Inter would run away, and then Juve just controlled the game and did enough to avoid another goal. So well done by them.
What do you make of Ronaldo's behavior being subbed out? I've got my take on it. I can't wait to hear yours.
With guys like him and Mbappe and Neymar, when they get subbed off, I'm expecting antics. I don't really read too much into it because that's just what I expect from them. When you see guys who are like Ashley Young threw a fit when he got subbed off. Like, dude, you sucked. Like, you caused a penalty. Get the hell out. You have no reason to complain. If Ronaldo does, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of used to. I'm not gonna ding him for it because I'm used to it for years and years. I've been accustomed to it. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
You know what? I really don't get bothered by this as much as, and I saw people go crazy on Twitter and being a little baby and blah blah blah. And it's like
he's done this for 20 years or whatever it is.
But in general, I don't get bothered by players behaving that way when they get subbed out. I mean, if anything, I'm actually, I'm all right with it because that the man you're taking off is a competitor and wants to be out there. And David saying he just wanted a hat trick. Maybe there's some truth to that. Sure, you're on a hat trick. Why not? Some guys take it well. Some guys don't take it well. Some guys will have public displays of attitude. Rohit, good morning. It's I've never been bothered by it. I look at it like, hey, this is just, these are competitive guys, have their competitive juices flowing. A coach made a decision, the player doesn't like it, and the coach will even tell you, Pirlo probably, I don't know what he said in his presser. He said, fine, he wanted to stay out there, and I
want to see,
and I wanted to take him out. It's just the way it is. Yeah. So with a hell of and they have a busy month ahead, and they need to get rest. They got Champions League in front of them. They've got another leg to play in this competition. Yeah. The Serie fixtures are going to be coming thick and fast here before the season ends. So there's a lot going on. They got to make up the game with Napoli too. So yeah, I mean, you take it's a few minutes, but I mean every minute counts. Yeah. So I rarely, if at all, look at that and say, that offends me or any of this other stuff. Now, no, I would not. Now, the only what could be slightly hypocritical of me here is that if my son was watching that, I would be looking at my son and say, don't behave like that.
Yeah, exactly.
When a coach decides that it's your time is up and you've got to come off. Okay, you want to teach something. You want to teach something different to your children. But in general, me watching a game and understanding the competitive nature of sport and understanding that these guys are competitive in nature, that kind of behavior is likely to happen, and I'm not offended by it.
Yeah, and I was like I said, I was more taken back by what Ashley Young did than what Ronaldo did. I was like expecting Ronaldo to do it. So
yeah, if you get pulled and you sucked, you've really got no right to complain.
Yeah, exactly. And it's obviously a derby game. It's a big game. Skriniar, I think, got a yell on this game. He misses the next game. David's asking, what effect do you think Hakimi and Lukaku are going to make against Juve? I think they make a big difference.
I think it definitely changes the dynamics.
It's a huge impact in favor of Juve, or in favor of Inter, excuse me. And it's interesting because Juve won on the road. It's difficult to win at San Siro against Inter or Milan these days, and Juve did it. They show that they're still there. They haven't lost a step. And now they go back to the J and see what can be done. But you got to like Inter having guys like Hakimi and Lukaku in the lineup because they make any lineup better.
And the reason
they're both in our top 11, right? So,
and the reason why they're going to have a big impact on that game is for the very reason of what went down in the league match. And we talked about this when we had Alex and Jerry on. Yeah. Lukaku is going to occupy one of those center backs, which is going to make it hard for that center back to get over and help the fullback that has to deal with Hakimi. So if it's Alexandro, in all likelihood, he's going to be caught 1v1 with Hakimi very often. Now, Alexandro should have the experience to handle this a heck of a lot better than Frabotta did. That's what Juventus is going to have going for them here. Yeah. But Lukaku occupies center backs and makes it tough for them to shift and play in supporting roles of other defenders when they have to support defenders who are defending the ball. So, so that's where the dynamics change a little bit. And it's going to be interesting to see what Pirlo does differently with those two back in the mix for the second leg.
I think if it was me, I would keep De Ligt and Demirel. I would have De Ligt cover Lukaku. I think that's the most comparable matchup between the two center backs that you have. De Ligt is a gamer, no doubt about that. Lukaku is just a beast. So I think you do that, and you have Demirel trying to help cover with Sandro.
You wouldn't put Chiellini back on Lukaku?
No,
I thought Chiellini will because Chiellini will be willing to mix it up with him.
Sure, he will. That's true. No, that is true. But Lukaku's pace is what scares me with Chiellini, and I think De Ligt has a little bit more pace than Chiellini does. Not to say Chiellini wouldn't do well in the game, and maybe you have a mix of three center backs. I mean, maybe change it up and go three center backs and a couple wingers. That way you get extra help back there for Hakimi. Yeah. Because it's going to be difficult, trying to cover him one-on-one. Sure. We know that nobody's done it so far. So But yeah, it's going to be interesting. And maybe young Chiesa has an impact for Juventus as well. He seemed to fit very well with Morata up there, and Ronaldo. So you never know. It's going to be fun game, fun second leg.
Yeah, I mean, and we also talked about that in the first game. I think Chiesa got nullified by Vidal in the league match. Where Chiesa, but interestingly, and we'll talk about the game against Sampdoria, they moved Chiesa around a bunch in that game, but so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, Inter and Juventus, I mean, what's fascinating about these teams is that there's matchups all over the place where it can really be chess. So being in Milan, God, I mean, we all despise Bonucci. So
yeah.
I think Bonucci's just angry because he's not out there.
When he does this, he means I can't shut up.
Yeah. That and I think he was also just jealous because there were actually better defenders out there for Juve than him. So
yeah.
It's what it is. So all right. Also, Richard, let's talk about the game that was the highlight of match week 20, and then we'll get into match week 20 as a whole. Atalanta and Lazio. I got too many leagues open up here. Close this. How does this happen?
How are you, Frank? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is January. Where the hell am I?
Week 20.
January 31st. Here we are. Okay. Atalanta and Lazio taking place in Bergamo. Some changes by Gasperini. The wingbacks, two new wingbacks. Mela, who they brought over from Bruges.
I think so.
Or Genk was one of those. It was a
Belgian. I think it was Genk.
Okay. And then Matteo Ruggeri, a young, left wing back. And then Ilicic got the start with Miranchuk behind Zapata. And then you had Lazio going with their traditional, lineup, if you will, of 3-5-2. Patrick got the start on that right-hand side. You had Lazzari and Marusic in the wing-back positions. You had your traditional three-man midfield that they play of Alberto, Leva, and Sergei, and then you had Correa and Ciro up front. And the tone got set very early in this game, Richard, with what I would say is the goal of the week, with all due respect to Gibora, Adam Marusic with that beautiful curler in the second minute. And I think that goal, Richard, for me, set the tone for how this game was going to play out.
Yeah, I mean, we knew there were going to be goals in this game, but we didn't know it was going to be that early. We probably thought Atalanta would have scored early, and then Lazio maybe going to counter at some point. But that Marusic goal, great goal, really set the pace there, and it put Atalanta at their heels. And I think what we saw, the game plan for Lazio, is something that not many teams do, and they should do more. Michael Lisi pointed this out during the game. I remember watching this on his tweets, and he's saying how like Lazio were attacking Atalanta. Not many teams do that. They want to hold the ball, and they kept attacking them, and that seemed to work. And it worked from the beginning. They kept at it, really kept Atalanta on their heels, and that seems to be the formula to do well against them, right? Because that definitely set the tone of the game.
I don't know if I totally. I mean, I get where Michael's coming from, but I don't know if I totally agree with it. I think Lazio scored 2 minutes into the game, and then as the game went on, they let Atalanta have the ball, but they didn't shithouse, like a Genoa would. Okay, they when they got the ball, they were going to make quality use of it, and they were going to carve out good chances, and that's what they did in this first half. In the first half, they only had 41% possession, but they outshot Atalanta 7-2.
What do we talk about? When we previewed, when Lazio drew Bayern in the Champions League, we said, they're going to have this. They're going to play a team that's very high possession, and then when they counter, they're going to have to be clinical. And what they were against Atalanta were clinical. They took their opportunities and they finished them.
I thought what I found interesting with Lazio, with the game plan from Simone Inzaghi, and he just outmanaged Gianpiero Gasperini in this game. And Gasperini, I think, very aggravated after the game, had some interesting things to say and threw some shade at Lazio post game that wasn't warranted. It's like, dude, you got your ass kicked. Just take it like a man and move on to the next game. But what I was watching, what I found, Lazio, when Ilicic got the ball, they overloaded on that side and gave him nothing. And that's why they only got 2 shots the entire first half.
And you have to, because he's so good.
Where they almost dared Atalanta to say, hey, you're going to have Miranchuk pull the strings here, not Ilicic. We want to see what this guy can do. We're not getting beaten by Ilicic today. And that's what they did. And it seems like they overloaded, they crowded. There was hardly any space to work through. And I think that they could get away with that because you're not, you look at Mela and Ruggeri, they're not Hatib or Ngozens.
Yeah.
They're not going to scare you. Lazio didn't have to defend the flanks in this game. They just overloaded and flooded wherever Ilicic was. I mean, so much to the point where Gasperini had to yank him at halftime because it's like, look, you're not getting anything. And it's not your fault.
Yeah.
You're just not getting anything. There's no room for you to play. So there's no point in having you out here.
Yeah, and I think that trio in the middle for Lazio were doing so well. Leva, SMS, and Luis Alberto, both defensively and offensively. They were really running right, I thought, in this game, and the passing between those gentlemen were just something to behold. And like I said, you frustrate a team and a player like Ilicic and Atalanta. It leaves you thinking, like, how can we beat you? And they keep trying different ways, but Lazio were clinical. Pepe Reina, I thought, had another good game. He's had a number of successive games in a row that's been really playing really well. So yeah, it's just Lazio, 5 games now, 5-game winning streak or something. They're flying at the moment, and good for them because they looked like they were struggling for a bit. And now they turned it back up now, and so they're making the top 8 interesting for sure.
Josip Ilicic lost the ball 22 times in this game. It should tell you what Lazio's plan was.
Yeah.
So. And that's not a number that you normally see with Josip Ilicic. That's a number I got used to seeing with Suso. That was like his floor for possession lost when he was playing for Milan. That's not what you see with a Josip Ilicic. 1-0 at halftime, and then we get on to the second half, and it was Ilicic didn't come out till the 67th minute. Forgive me. It was Lammers who went in for him. It was Ruggeri who came off from Malinovsky, which now there's just a whole bunch of confusion with the team shape because who's the right wing back now or the left wing back? Are you playing 4 in the back? What are we doing here? So I think it almost compounded the problem by playing Malinovsky and adding him into that midfield that was already having trouble navigating. Lucas Leiva was outstanding in this game. And then in the 51st minute, Atalanta getting caught a little too high on a long ball coming out of the back. Ciro heads it perfectly in behind him, and Correa's perfectly timed run onside, 1v1 with Galini, no chance for Galini, and he puts it away 2-0 to Lazio. And at this point, Lazio just say, here you go, Atalanta, you have the ball. We're gonna sit back. If you can get 2, if you can get 3, good for you, but this is how we're gonna play the rest of the game. Try to get around us.
Yeah, no, that was a great play. Pepe Reina with a long kick out. Immobile wonderfully flicked to Correa running on that breakaway, and I thought he messed that up because it was a little too heavy, that touch around Golini, but he just got the end of it and just squeaked it past the post. Nice goal, nice play overall. Lazio just again taking advantage of the opportunities they get, being clinical, and they've been like that for the last 5 games now, and they need to continue that, especially if they want to keep progressing up in not only the league table but also give Bayern a scare. Nice goal overall. I love seeing Correa score. He just celebrates so well. And they need a secondary striker outside of Immobile. Immobile is going to get his goals, but they need someone to help him out. SMS and Luis Alberto will get theirs every now and then, but they need another striker scoring, I think. And good for them to get Correa to get on the sheet.
Right. So they bring on a bunch of reinforcements here, Richard, obviously, after that second goal. Pasalic comes on for Miranchuk. Muriel comes on for Zapata. And then shortly after that, Lammers comes on for Ilicic. So now they've threw another forward into the game. Caldara's coming in for the shape that I couldn't follow what Atalanta was doing. But Pasalic scores off of really, Muriel deserved the goal, as Matteo Bonetti said, on the broadcast that we got here with that beautiful turn. It hits the post, but it falls nicely to Pasalic to at least make this somewhat of a game. But I
knew he was going to say goal of the week right there if he had scored that himself, Luis Muriel. What a great turn that was.
Yeah.
But
yeah, excellent stuff. And then in the 82nd minute, after Atalanta trying to press, trying to get back into the game and equalize, Andres Pereira gets through, plays it across, and Vedat Mirici scores for Lazio to seal it off 3-1. At that point, it was academic. Lazio winning by 3-1. Crowding the midfield with that 3-5-2 huge, too, following Illich is like a dog right on frame. Thank you, Michael. I drink and I know things. So,
I heard that in a while.
Bring back Game of Thrones. We need good
right.
TV. Except I tell you what, we're going to have a little TV take. Cobra Kai is the shit. I mean,
I haven't started watching it yet.
Oh, you deprived child.
I've watched other stuff. Yeah.
Get into it. Okay, listen. It goes, you know what? I won't spoil it all for you, but there's 3 seasons for you to binge. It goes from cheesy to pretty damn compelling. Okay. So I'm
just waiting for Drive to Survive, the F1 Netflix series to come back for season 3. I'm ready for that. So
okay.
Anyway, that's beside the point.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so 3-1 to Lazio, and then here's what I said about Lazio following the game. It's, you know, they've won 5 in a row. Mm-hmm. All right, but in any of these wins, I mean, this is in league. They lost to Atalanta in the Coppa. Okay. Yep. But in any of these games, did they dominate? I mean, they don't dominate anybody. No. That's not them. They are, you know, the Parma game, the Roma game even wasn't really domination, but, you know, they had only 39%. Where I'm talking about possession dominance. Yep. Lazio, and I've been saying this all season long about them, and it is manifested in this 5-game winning streak that they're on in league. They are not a team that goes out and dominates you. They're a team that, you know, they are opportunistic. They set up to put you in a position to make mistakes. And when they pounce, they've got so much quality going forward. You know, they're not a grinding Catenaccio style like you see with Ballardini's Genoa, you know, but they're an opportunistic team that they're not going to press you all over the pitch. They're not going to keep the ball for long periods of time. They're going to confront you middle of the park, thereabouts, maybe a little further forward. They're going to wait for you to screw up, and they're going to jump on you. And when they do, they're going to carve a dangerous chance out of it. This is what we're getting with Lazio right now.
Yeah, and we kind of saw this, the makings of this at the beginning of the season, right? It's like they weren't playing pretty like they had been last year. Mm-hmm. Last year, they had a lot of success by just pounding teams left and right. But then when it came down to crunch time, when it time to grind, they couldn't do it because they weren't used to it. So we saw from the beginning of the season with them is that they were grinding out results back and forth, and the results weren't always there. But it seems like over this last, 5 to 8 games, they started to turn around. They beat Napoli also before this run started as well. Yeah. So what they're finding out is that if they play these grinding type games, take advantage of the opportunities they have, don't cause these humongous giveaways, and and force the opposition to make mistakes. That is a recipe for success. And I think this is, in the long term, it's going to be a better strategy than they were last year when they were just trying to outscore everybody, by whatever. This year, they're a little bit better defensively, and they can really, grind out frustrate the opposition. What we saw with Ilicic and company, they just didn't have any answers. Yeah. So I think this is a nice thing that's finally come to shape for Lazio, and I think we will see a trajectory with them.
Let's look at their upcoming games. Cagliari at home, then at Inter, and then Samp at home before the home game against Bayern in the Champions League on February 23rd. That's their next 4.
Curious about the Inter matchup. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, what do you do? That's where it's going to be interesting. What do you do against the team that is also effective when they don't have the ball as much, right? Yeah. And the game is going to be at the San Siro, so you got to expect that Inter will probably have a little bit more possession as it is, maybe in the 55% range. And this is one we can talk about here in next week's as we get ready for it. But but when you see things like what happened today in the Coppa, as good as some of these guys have been playing for Inter, there's still a shakiness to them that can be taken advantage of. And they may be the next team in line that Lazio does this to.
Is this going to be right after the second leg against Inter? that'll be interesting. The rotation be involved in that, and the rotation could be involved in that.
I think that second leg is a little later on.
Okay.
They get weird with their. No. I take that back. That second leg is actually. You are right. That is going to be. Okay. That is going to be on the 9th, Tuesday the 9th. So we're going to talk about the second leg next Tuesday.
There you go. Okay, right on. So yeah, that rotation could come into handy and into play there to see, because Lazio don't have anything else to play other than the league, right? So could get interesting.
Yep. Atalanta, one of those moments where I just going to chalk it up to one of those moments where just Gasparini just got it all wrong.
Outmanaged.
Got outmanaged. Didn't adjust properly.
Nope.
But what were you going to do differently with those wing backs? I mean, they're not of the quality of what you're used to having.
Yeah.
Who else would have solved this for you? I think are questions that you got to try and answer here when you take a look at Atalanta. I mean, I go down and I look at their team. I mean, the players just weren't there. The wing backs weren't there, obviously. You couldn't do that. And he just ended up throwing a bunch of people out there trying to figure out how to do it, try to get back into the game. It was just, I think, panic mode, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, sometimes you punch a heavyweight in the mouth, and you'll see what they're made of, right? Sometimes they react well, and they've come back strong, or they just buckle at the knees, and then you just take advantage of them. I'm not too worried about Atalanta in the long scheme of things. I think they are doing well right now in the season. It just they got outmanaged by a better manager, better team in this game, and so I'm sure they'll bounce back with a lot of goals in the next game. But it's
they're gonna score a lot of goals at Napoli tomorrow.
Oh, maybe not tomorrow, but
at the Maradona,
not the Coppa Italia, but in the next league game maybe.
Saturday against Torino at home.
Yeah, there you go.
They'll get back on track. That'll be their get right game.
Yeah,
they're going to play Napoli 3 times in the next 5 games.
Oy.
The 2 legs in the Coppa, and then they play them again in league on the 21st.
It's either going to be high scoring or very, very low scoring. It's probably going to be the low scoring, and knowing Gattuso.
Yeah, and Atalanta's fixtures really. I mean, those 3 games with Napoli, the home game with Torino, traveling to Cagliari, and then after all that, Real Madrid on February 24th, and then the trip to Sampdoria, hosting Crotone, and then at Inter. I mean, they have got a very fun stretch over the next several weeks. We'll see how they cope with it.
Make their season here, make or break.
But they didn't lose this game because they didn't have Papu Gomez, because they've been winning without him. So for anybody to, make those kinds of excuses, that's just foolish. So, but that's the Atalanta Lazio. That was our big match of match week 20. Richard is going to give us a rundown of what happened with the rest of match week 20.
Yeah, so starting off, we got Torino hosting Fiorentina. This game was a very interesting game, actually, for a game that you probably wouldn't expect to have such an open game. But Fiorentina would score early, goal of the week candidate. Nice team goal. Ribery would finish it off in the 67th minute. 1-0, the road team would take the lead. But the Belotti, who was a major player in this game, let's leave it at that. There's 2 red cards in the game, both caused by Belotti, against Belotti, I should say. Castrovilli got a second yellow, and then Milinkovic with a nice headbutt to Belotti, knock him down. So 2 reds. Eventually, Belotti would score a goal in the 88th minute. 1-1. That's how that game would end. Moving over to Bologna, hosting Milan. Milan would get 2 penalties in the 2 penalties early. First in the 25th minute or so, Zlatan steps up, misses the penalty. Rebic still gets the rebound. Penalty, right call there for sure. 1-0 there. That's how it would go to halftime. Coming out of the break, another penalty, another legit penalty. Just Milan creating opportunities and again penalties. This is what's going to happen. Kessie this time steps up, scores a goal, 2-0 at that point. Former Milan man Andrea Poli, would get the goal to make it 2-1. He didn't celebrate as you'd expect. Milan walk away with 3 points there. Juventus on the road against Sampdoria, the guy who we were singing praises about earlier. Chiesa, nice team goal by Juventus. Morata to Chiesa for the first goal. 1-0 goal to be candidate there. And then, pretty much it was a fairly even game. I mean, Juventus were doing, had good control of the game. They couldn't score until stoppage time, where Cuadrado, coming on a break, slides it over to a wide open Ramsey. Ramsey puts it away. 2-0 Juventus win on the road there. Inter looking big, heavy favorites against Benevento. Goal scoring started early in the 7th minute. Impropta with an own goal give Inter the lead. Inter are good enough; they don't need any help from the opposition. That would actually, surprisingly be all the goals in the first half. Lautaro Martinez had a million opportunities, and it seemed like he was never going to score a goal. Couldn't break his duck. This is before he scored in the Coppa Italia game. But he finally broke that duck in the 57th minute. Felt like his 15th shot of the game. Finally gets a goal in the 57th minute. And then he continued to play well. Lukaku gets a goal in the 67th and the 78th minute. One of those goals, he reads the goalkeeper very, very well, intercepts the pass, and then Lukaku, finishes off there. So Inter went big, dominate that game 4-0 at home. Moving on to another game that was very one-sided, but there weren't as many goals. Spezia hosting Udinese. This was all Udinese, it seemed like, in this game. But Spezia, they were able to keep the goals out for most of the game until the 50th minute or so. A penalty would be called, and De Paul, as he would, steps up, scores the goal. Udinese win on the road 1-0. We talked about Atalanta Lazio already. Cagliari hosting Sassuolo. This was a very entertaining game. Fairly even, very wide open. The edge would go to Sassuolo in terms of the attacking play, but it wasn't until the 75th minute that we saw a goal. João Pedro, a nice header, assist from Sotil and Marin. So nice play there. 1-0 at that point. Looked like we may have had a shock victory for EDF's men, but Sassuolo were persistent. They kept putting the pressure on, and in the 94th minute, goal of the week cannons there. O'Day to Boga, backdoor, 94th minute, 1-1. They get the draw there. Genoa, a team that Frank has been bugged by recently because Destro continues to score. He picks up brace in this game. That's 8 goals in the last 8 matches, something crazy like that. He's been on fire. Sabora also had a goal of the week candidate there in the 29th minute. 3-0 Genoa, just impressive road win. Ballardini, he's just doing it. He's pulling the right strings here for Genoa. Very impressive win. It's Crotone, but you're getting Destro to score. That's impressive. Napoli hosting Parma. Napoli, very, very well played in this game. Elmas, one of the goals of the week candidate, going solo, taking on 3 men. Wonderful goal in the 32nd minute. And then the last goal that they would get would be in the 82nd minute. This is all Napoli all the time. Parma just didn't have the answers. Diversa, that's a difficult game for him to manage against because Napoli were just by far the superior team. Napoli win 2-0. And then the game that we thought could have been a lot closer than it was, and maybe the game that Hellas could have pulled out, was not the case. Roma in their midfield really came to play, especially in that first half. They get a goal first off a set piece. Mancini, a header off the corner in the 20th minute. 2 minutes later, Borja Mayoral sets up Mkhitaryan for his 9th goal of the season. 2-0 just 2 minutes after that. And then just 7 minutes later, Mayoral would get his goal. He has a goal and assist in this game. 3-0 at halftime. Hellas would get one back in the 62nd minute through Colli, but Roma was just too much of that midfield for Hellas to do anything about. So, impressive 3-1 victory for Roma. Where do you want to be with all those games?
Well, we'll come back to Roma and talk about them a little bit more because interestingly enough, Verona had, the possession. Roma, Inter, and Lazio are winning with counterattacking football. And they're all so well suited at it. Verona had a little bit more possession. Roma was the far more dangerous team in this game and made use of it. This combination of Mkhitaryan and Borja Mayoral is looking very promising right now. Yeah. We spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. We said, okay, I think Dzeko's done. This was after the Derby della Capitale. He said, look, it's time to turn this Mayoral kid loose.
Yep.
I think that Dzeko has done as much as he possibly can for Roma. And when they floated the idea of a swap between Dzeko and Alexis Sanchez, I was like, if I was Roma, I don't know why. And what I heard was Inter had a little bit more to do in order to make this deal. And I would like to know who at Roma said that Inter had a little more work to do to make this swap deal happen. Because if I'm Roma and Inter's approaching me about swapping and giving us Alexis Sanchez and we give them Aiden Dzeko, I can't sign off on that deal fast enough. I really can't. Just on the surface, when you look at how these guys play, I mean, Alexis Sanchez was decent in this Coppa game today, and Aiden Dzeko can't help me anymore. And now you take him and you're going to send him to an Inter. Where's he? Where and when is he going to play for Inter with Lautaro and Lukaku? Okay, and now you get an Alexis Sanchez who can have a tremendous influence. You put him and Mkhitaryan behind Mayoral right now, and you put Pellegrini in the middle of that. Forget it.
Yeah,
I mean that could have been lights out for Roma. I mean, let's remember this. Alexis Sanchez is still a strong player.
Yeah,
you know, and even if you wanted to use him, I would. Alexis Sanchez is better than Pedro. Okay,
yeah, this season for sure.
He's better than El Shaarawy, and I'm only saying that because I haven't seen El Shaarawy in God knows how long. All right, because I don't stay up in ungodly hours to watch the professional league in China. I'm sure you don't either, do you? No, we got shit to do. We can't be watching every game.
Gotta sleep.
So yeah, I got to sleep too at some point. So how does Roma not just rush to get that thing done? And I was reading and saying Inter has some tweaking to do to make this deal happen. What?
Yeah.
But anyway, Mayoral is the guy going forward. Fonseca has to realize that. I think Fonseca listened to us, and that's what we've been seeing lately. So, you know, we have the takes, Richard. We have the takes.
That's right. That's right. It's for sure. Mayoral certainly brings the pace and the liveliness that Dzeko can't bring. We saw that, and he was just all over the place, and that play he really set up the whole play that Mkhitaryan scored because he hustled to get the ball, he kept the ball, and then found the open man. So good for him to finally get the goal there. Roma just made Hellas look average overall. I think it's a lot of it has to do with that Roma midfield. They were just dominant, especially that first half. Second half was just more about keep controlling the game at that point. But Mayoral, I think, is just an excellent addition, and hopefully we get to see a lot more and more of him, and the transition can finally happen. For him taking the pedestal away from Edin Dzeko. I think Edin Dzeko probably could get some. If he's still there, he's going to still contribute some goals here and there at the end. But I think Mayoral is the way to go.
Benevento, the only time they touched the ball against Inter was on throw-ins, goal kicks, or if they were digging the ball out of their own net.
0 shots. Yeah. Ridiculous.
0 shots and 39% possession. 14. They committed 14 fouls. So I mean that's people. Inzaghi treated it like a derby, or at least he told us, "It's Inter. Go foul the shit out of them," because I played for Milan, and that's what you got to do. But they didn't play football, and they got roasted for it. Did you see that fourth goal? For the Lukaku's second goal was so pathetic, and how the marking was so loose, and then even the third goal in that was just trying to play out. Ugh. I don't know what the heck happened. I mean, let's see how Benevento responds there. Juventus is a classy win against a Sampdoria team that had been playing a lot better. They've got better players. I mean, the Ligurian teams, at least Sampdoria and Genoa, have been proving us wrong, which is great.
Yes, happy about this. So happy about that.
We did not think highly of them at the beginning of the season. We were very worried about them. Ranieri has organized his team. He's gotten the parts for the way he wants to do things. Yeah. And then you have Ballardini now back at Genoa, who, he's got those guys believing in the way he wants them to play.
Oh, yeah.
He's manager of the season alone on getting Destro to score 8 goals in 8 games.
Ridiculous.
That's absurd.
It's so absurd that now people are mentioning his name, Destro, for the Azzurri. I mean, that's how absurd it's gotten.
All right, pump the brakes.
I'm not saying I'm one of them. Pump
the brakes.
We got some friends of the show who are certainly.
I will not listen. I will not allow
Who's next, Eder?
I will not allow a take that talks up Mattia Destro for the Azzurri on this program ever. I'm walking if that happens. All right.
I don't want to.
Then you got to get Jerry as your co-host. Good luck.
We've been talking about Lazio all the time now.
Yeah, and ketchup chips and Nutella. and Nutella on ketchup chips. He probably does that too. I like Jerry. He's a good guy. You know, it's just easy to break his balls. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Where were we?
Benevento doing anything but playing football on Saturday.
Yeah. Ugh. I mean, I don't know what they're. I mean, you know, good for Lukaku getting a brace, and then Arturo breaking his duck. But I mean, it was just a one team show. Inter against Benevento. Just, I mean, no shots against. I mean, they look like they're the worst team in the league at that point. But I mean, we know they're not. But man, did not look good. I'm sure Pipo just tore them a new one at the end of that game.
Udinese, Spezia dominated this game, and then Udinese shithouse it and get a penalty. And Udinese is a winner in this Mercato because DePaul didn't leave yet, and he'll be there to help.
Surprising.
Yep, and he'll be there to help them see out the season. He's gone in the summer. He's going to be moving on. He's got to be. And
then he got a red card in the game too, which was a soft second yellow I thought by him, but it was I couldn't believe that he got a red, and then former Milan player Saponara got a red also. His second foul was a certain stupid penalty, or stupid foul, I should say. But yeah, 2 reds in the game. He saw a few reds this weekend.
Did you see that Udinese did make their Deulofeu deal permanent, by the way?
Oh, okay, good.
So, like, Pozzo's son sold Deulofeu to his dad, or is it the other way around? Who owns what over at Watford, between Watford and Udinese? And I watched Watford play. Yeah, I watched Watford play the other day for investment purposes, and Trost Ekong is playing for Watford, which he was playing for. There's just so much. It's like incestuous between Watford and Udinese right now with the Pozzo family. It's just it's hard to keep track of. You watch a Watford player, next week he's going to go to Udinese and vice versa.
And to Deulofeu's credit, he won who drew the penalty that DePaul scored. So I think he's a good player for them. I think for Udinese. So good. I'm glad the move made permanent. So
sure. So all right, this is good. Destro, the sun shines on a dog's ass even every once in a while. Good for he's having his moment. I mean, at some point, I mean, there's too much history to suggest that this is gonna this is gonna be
the best form of his life.
Yeah. Well, the commentator even said it. He's in the form of his life. It's never going to get any better after this.
No.
So. No. And then if he wants to talk about contract negotiations or making more money, if I'm like Preziosi, I'll go back and play tapes. I'll go back and I'll play tapes of his time at Roma and Milan. And say, look, I'm not going to pay you when at any time you're going to go right back to that.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm still marveling at what Ballardini's done since he's been there. Taking him completely out of relegation talk and moving on up the table and getting Destro to score. I mean, geez.
It didn't terribly surprise me when he took over. I mean, because he did it before. Yeah. Only because he did it before. Yeah. And he's got a system that is simplified and the players can buy into it. And just, but the one drawback is that it doesn't last long, because he didn't last long at Genoa. He, got him through. The next season they struggled and he was sacked, and then he was sacked for a different style, and they buy into that. So it's it's good for them, and 6 points clear of safety. It's looking at the rest of this right now, it's going to be interesting, because Spezia is going to be due for a different. They play attractive football. Yeah. They've got some players that are fun to watch. But they're by no means safe in 16th. I think Bologna will do enough to correct themselves here and get themselves out of trouble. They're sitting 15th right now, but I think that they could certainly work their way back up. But there's real questions here for Parma, Cagliari, and Torino, because Cagliari could have used those 3 points, and to let Boga get that late goal, that's not good when you're right now in a situation where you're trying to fight the drop. And in Parma, it's supposed to get better with D'Aversa now.
It's Napoli.
It's Napoli first of all, and then what was it? At home against Sampdoria, you got to figure out how to get something. Now they did get a point at Sassuolo, okay, but it's the opening stretch for D'Aversa has been a challenge. You had to open up with Lazio, and then Sassuolo, and then the cup against Lazio, and then at home against Sampdoria. That's probably 3 points he should have figured out how to get.
Yeah.
And then going to Napoli. Now they get Bologna at home. Then they go to Verona, and then they host Udinese, and then they host Spezia. I mean, that's 12 points in play. They got to figure out how to get 7. Okay, maybe 6.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there could be real trouble here for Parma.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like where it's going. This is not a team, if you look at the players on their roster that should be in this position, but you want to put all your eggs in with Liverani, and this is what you get, right? The team that we saw last year is gone. It seems like. I mean, everyone's lost their confidence. It's been really poor to watch Parma, and even like when they get their opportunities, like Cornelius, he had an opportunity, and his shots go far and wide now. I mean, there's no confidence whatsoever on the pitch for Parma, and it's going to be a lot of work for De Versa if he can find a way to pull them out. I mean, give him a freaking Man of the Year award, but I don't know if I'll see it coming. It's a shame because Parma is a team you want to see and stay in Serie A. They've done so much to try to get back to Serie A after what happened, dropping down to Serie D. You'd hate to see them get dropped now. They need to find a way anyway. I mean, they're missing fans for sure, but yeah, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be De Versa, so we'll see.
And the pieces are there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they have the roster that all of these teams around them have.
It's his confidence with them is lack thereof. That's what's killing them.
That's just it. Cagliari is another one that it's very surprising to me that it's gone so poorly for them. That it's gone this poorly.
Yeah.
Giovanni Simeone is just so desperate for form right now.
Yeah.
And when you look at that, and João Pedro is going to keep him afloat, try to keep him afloat. Nainggolan's going to come in there and certainly try to.
Cranio's great. Is a good goalkeeper. Sotil's pretty good. Marin's pretty good.
I really like Marin.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. I like him. He's a great chance creator. He's the kind of guy that would have been a good fit at Atalanta.
Oh, yeah.
That if Cagliari somehow gets relegated, don't be surprised if that's one of the first places Gasperini looks. Now, Marin situated in a little bit different position than the likes of the attacking midfielders that Atalanta have now, but I can see a scenario where that could work. But I'm high on Marin, and hopefully that it can work out. And your point, Cranio, we've had George here say he's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde sometimes as a goalkeeper, but we only see it's for whatever reason we just see good performances from him.
Yeah.
But again, another team that's too talented. But if Cagliari and Parma come out of this, who are you going to drop? Genoa's playing better. Udinese's playing better. Do Benevento have this epic collapse? From
maybe
where they're
shellacking, maybe
sitting in 12th right now. Fiorentina's finding ways to get points. I think that Napoli loss was the low point for them, and now they're trying to get it together. Prandelli's trying to get it together there, and it's going to be interesting because I think that anybody here in the bottom half of the table is not safe. It's 18th is 15 points, 11th is 22.
Yeah.
We could end up seeing a handful of teams here trying to fight for survival, and we're going to probably see 1 to 2 teams involved that we would not have expected.
Yeah. I mean, Udinese and Bologna, be careful.
Yeah. I mean, those would probably be the first places I look. I mean, and one of the guys, and I think that's another reason, maybe keep an eye on Rodrigo De Paul for those reasons. We could possibly be watching a player that if he knows he's out after this season, how much motivation? I mean, but I think that he seems to take a lot of pride in playing for the Zabretta, but it's one that could go. That's one that could go pear-shaped with what's around him too. I mean, it's going to be fascinating. Parma, I could see remaining there.
Yeah,
despite De Versa's best efforts, I can't see this Cagliari team remaining. And then you got to ask the question after that: who drops? I probably would. Spezia might be the most likely candidate.
Yeah.
Torino might be too talented for this. So we'll see. This is going to be very fascinating over the next 18 match days, how the bottom unfolds just as much as the top 4. I mean, you have an open campionato across the board here, Richard. Everything's up for grabs.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And I think that is what you want at this stage of the season, and we might say, we might get to 10 weeks from now and things will be a lot more sorted. But then again, things might be just as chaotic as they are now. So
yeah, I'm probably going to bet on the latter, but you never know.
Yeah. Goals of the week.
Goals of the week. All right, my top 5. It's probably different from yours, but who knows? Number 5 for me, Mkhitaryan's goal, the assist by Mayoral. Lovely strike, completely faked the goalkeeper out on his shot there. Number 4 for me, Chiesa's team goal. There's a nice play by Juventus overall, and then the assist, Morata to Chiesa, backdoor. A nice goal there. Number 3 for me is actually Marusic. It's a great goal. But there's a couple other goals I like more. Great strike, 2 minutes into the game. Way to set the tone of the match there for Lazio to win that match. Number 2 for me, I love team goals, and I'm going to go to Fiorentina. I thought their team goal was really nice, especially Bonaventura and Ribéry working with each other, give and go for several passes led to the goal by Ribéry to dance around the keeper. Number 1 for me is actually going to be the Napoli game. Elmas, just a solo effort, beating 3 players and get that lovely strike. Very well done against a good defensive team, or a decent defensive team, I guess I should say. But it's a great goal nonetheless. So that's my top 5.
Okay. Number 5, I have Belotti's equalizer against Fiorentina. The finish from him first, and but the ball that came in, pinpoint. There. So that was number 5 for me. The Ribéry team goal was number 4. I had Elmas at number 3 because when I see those solo efforts, I'm a stickler, and defenders did get touches on the ball. They're just enough to keep it out of the goal of the week. The Chibora volley for Genoa comes in at number 2, and the Marusic goal is the goal of the week for me. It set the tone for a really big game and got Lazio off and running, to a win here. So that was my top 5 for the week, and it was only 5 and only 5. There wasn't after that. There wasn't anything I was totally enamored with. So
yeah, better than last week though, but still, yeah.
Last week was so hard to pick.
Yeah, like 2 or 3, I think last week. So,
yeah.
So
that's what we're getting. We're getting a lot of tap-ins. We're getting a lot of Ronaldo specialties. Oops, did I say that? And penalties while we're at it.
Yeah.
So. All right. Shall we move on to what everybody really came here for?
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
All right. The hashtag game that is sweeping the world many times over. It is now time for Who Won Calcio Twitter. We need intro music for this.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We need something.
True. We'll have to figure something out. Yeah.
Something comical though. Don't have
Benny Hill.
Benny Hill, or just don't play anything intense. This isn't an intense thing. This is where we can all. This is where we
music or epic.
Yeah,
music.
Yeah. This is where we can all laugh at ourselves.
Gotcha.
And we kick it off with at Serie memes.
Yep.
With the. This was the aftermath of the Coppa Italia with the Derby della Madonnina. Lukaku is the donkey from Shrek, and then Ibra is Shrek. So,
and of course, he's going to be donkey after what Ibra said. So,
yep, very nice.
We're going to skip that one. We're going to go to this one. Milan Weekly Podcast pointed us in the right direction here. This is from _BITW_N_10. And it's WrestleMania, and it's Zlatan against Big Mark Lukaku. Funny. It's Big Mark Henry and the Undertaker here. So nice Photoshop job there. But yeah, those 2 guys look like they're going to go for a big battle there. So big one there. Right on.
All right. Rafa has a thread here. Let's see here. So, okay. At HuveFC.com had thoughts on Fagioli. Rafa nominated himself.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Fagioli. They're good for your heart. The more you eat, the more you fart. Fagioli is obviously Italian for beans. So,
nice.
So,
nice.
Just having a little fun with the Juve crowd there was Rafa. So,
next one was from @Simo33XX, and he says, heard Inter's new logo was leaked, and it's a donkey.
My gosh, we're gonna.
I know.
Oh, what the heck! I need to. All right, I lost my place. Hold on here.
The Calcio guys.
Okay, yeah, bear with me. I gotta get back into my. It was the Calcio guys was the next one.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, there it is. Pasta fagioli cooking in the midfield. Nicola Fagioli.
Nice. I like that.
That's not a plate of beans, though, is it? Pasta. Oh, okay. Pasta fagioli.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
This is not necessarily a Who on Couch at Twitter, but it's a nice compliment here. Abdul Rahman says, you guys should consider, or we should consider changing our name to this pod from Serie Sitdown to Serie Stand Up because of Who on Couch at Twitter. Thank you, sir.
I'm just going to respond to this. I'm retweeting it.
Well, while you do that, I'll do the next one. The next one comes from at FCIM Thomas, at FC Inter Thomas. He says, if Larturo shot at Tupac, he'd still be alive. Yeah, Larturo finally got his goal, but it took him many, many shots to finally get that goal in there. So,
oh goodness, that's taking a minute. I just told our friend there that I'm too fat to stand up for the whole podcast. So, that's why we are sitting down. It's a Serie sit down. So, okay, let's see. At Caserta Campagna, a past winner. Replying to at Nerazzurri for Who Won Calcio Twitter. Let's see here. Lukaku after getting Zlatan suspended for 10 games. It's Serrano from Major League smoking a cigar. Okay, so at underscore Nerazzurri getting in there, and then at Caserta Campagna nominating it, but the marbles.
Yeah.
That's great. The original Major League was filmed here in Milwaukee.
Oh, was it?
Actually, was at the old Milwaukee County Stadium. I actually was 14 years old and went to the filming with my mom and my brother one night. So,
oh, wow,
we had to sit there and cheer for Charlie Sheen throwing a pretend pitch, striking out Clu Hayward, who was played by Pete Vukovich, who was a former Milwaukee Brewer.
Okay.
The fat first baseman for the Yankees.
Look, we're learning something on this podcast. Look at that.
There you go.
Fun and educational there.
Alex Dono coming up with a funny, and Alex Dono's not making it on the board because I get to appear on his radio program. This is legitimately good. Or are you on? Yeah,
I don't even see it.
Let's see. So, am I way too high? Oh, we're skipping.
Yeah, I'll go next. Art Morelli, he says, I played FIFA 21 career mode for a little over a week, and I have been fired by Napoli after one season and fired by Bologna after 5 matches in my second season. I am the Marco Giampaolo of FIFA.
Where are you seeing this? I'm not seeing this.
It's there.
Is that the one from Art Morelli?
Yeah, Fart Morelli.
Where is it? Why am I not seeing what you're seeing?
Did you hit the latest?
Yeah, I'm on latest.
Oh, then I don't know.
No, edit this out for the actual podcast. But people who are following right now are probably
laughing at you,
having a mild chuckle at me. This one was from at Marco _D. No wonder Lazio are in 7th. Milan's taking all their penalties this year.
Yeah, that's good.
That's all right.
That's good.
All right, now we got the Alex Dono one.
Yes. Next one is Alex Dono. He says, last time Arturo hit a target, it's been 84 years.
From the Titanic. Martino Puccio's nominating me because I once again had to remind Jerry that he was at a Tim Hortons screaming about.
I didn't see that one. Yeah, that's funny.
Screaming about Joaquin Correa scoring. So, employees of the Serie Sit Down cannot win Calcio Twitter, but we're happy to be nominated. So
that's right.
We appreciate that.
Someone nominated David Amoyal. Says, when Luis Alberto is Luis Alberto, he's Ilicic. I like that.
Not bad. Oh, that's I don't. Yeah, okay. I think I know why I don't have those. So, all right. So I have got here at Lupo di Roma, Dzeko. Just smile and get out of here as quickly as you can. Reynolds, bro.
That's funny.
How are the Roma guys always funny? You know, I think some of our funniest. Yeah, some of our funniest entries are coming from Roma or they involve Roma.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah, This one's coming from Inter. More self-deprecation. So Semper Inter said Alexander Kolarov likely to start for Inter against Juve, and Nima tweets out, "Somebody kill me, please." From the wedding singer.
Ouch, my ears. Saturnian 96. This was nominated for Lazio fans knowing they can bring Mussolini banners into the stadium without problems in a few years.
Mussolini's great grandson now plays for Lazio's youth team. So that's where that's from.
Yeah, and it's that's the Arsenal guy. I can't remember the guy.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember what his actual name is, but
that's funny.
Next
one comes. One more. It comes from so it's shown a replay. So at Sheva Kinky showed a video of was it Bastoni elite player, and this is where Ronaldo steals the ball from him and he scores a goal. And so the actual nominated tweet was from at RADHITTRTAREGA, and it says the agent made no mistake when he said this guy is on similar level with Maldini. He actually meant Christian Maldini.
Well played. I actually think just saying Bastoni elite player on that video.
I
gotta retweet this.
That's also nominee right there, I would think too. That's funny.
He really is.
I don't know who's the winner. Oh
man, we got to pick a winner out of these, don't we? Apparently. It's close this week.
It
really is. Gosh. Geez. Let's see here. What was the Marco D one? No, that one wasn't. What was Morelli's again?
He says, I played FIFA 21 career mode for a little over a week, and I've been fired by Napoli after one season, fired by Bologna after 5 matches, and in my second season, I am the Marco Giampaolo of FIFA.
Okay. Self-deprecation.
Yes.
Let's go with... Yeah, I got to go with FCIM Thomas. I got to go with if Lautaro shot at Tupac, he'd still be alive.
Yeah, that was a good one. I can't find it for whatever reason, but that's a funny one. I'm gonna go with the Roma guy, Lupa Di Roma. Jacko, just smile, get out of here as quickly as you can. Reynolds, bro.
All right, let me just make a note here to congrats to at FCIM Thomas.
Someone, so David made a comment that we didn't get to earlier in the recap, and he says, "You guys think the number 9 curse will affect Mandzukic?" I do not. I think Mandzukic is an utter professional, and he'll find ways to score. He works too hard to have that affect him.
He scores in big games, and let's hope he has that touch still.
Yeah.
So, and who is your winner? You went with the Roma fella,
Lupa Di Roma. Yep.
Lupa Di Roma. Okay. Let's see. Where is that? There we are. Yep. So I'll enter that in there. So yeah, he scores in, like I said, he scores in big games. He's he's got pedigree, he's got experience. So let's see. Let's see.
Yeah.
And if after 6 months the 9 is still cursed, we can throw him back to wherever we found him. So
throw him back to the Wolves.
Yep. Who won Calcio Twitter?
Well, while you do that,
Serie, sit down. Anything else?
What's that?
Are you going to do the shameless plugs now?
I am. I'm going to do a shameless plug here. Plug in our Serie Sit Down YouTube page. We just put out a couple of videos. One for the history of Parma, a little brief video there, and then also we taken Who Won Calcio Twitter on the road to YouTube to Calcio Twitter of the Week, where we take a game and take all the best tweets from that game. So that game, we actually took the Derby d'Italia, Derby di Milano, the Coppa Italia match between Milan and Inter, and look at all the best tweets of that. There was a lot of tweets in that game. So definitely check out that video to see some more funny tweets from there. So yeah, definitely check that out.
That's going to be a blast when the Champions League games come up, because that fan bases are going to dog the teams that are up, and and have so much fun with it. So that's coming at a good time. We're gonna have a good time breaking those out. So with that, we're gonna put a bow on this edition of Serie Sit Down. Beyond that, anything else you want to plug, Richard?
No, just you can follow me at r_KHARMAN anywhere on social media.
I'm at FTC_21 on Twitter. I occasionally want to give another plug to Alex Dono and the Man of the Match radio show on Onside Radio. Made an appearance again this past Friday discussing the things going on in Serie A. Talked a little of the incident involving Inter and Milan in the Coppa Italia. Talked about the Papa Gomez situation and the race for the Scudetto, among other things. So, but do give Alex a listen, especially if you're in South Florida and listening to this. That's a great radio program to get up to speed on your South Florida sports. So, Serie Sit Down, we have our own channel on Apple Podcasts, on SoundCloud. We can be found on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever there's podcasts. There is Serie Sit Down. You can find us at Serie Sit Down on Twitter or Instagram. Please, any comments, questions, anything you don't like about the podcast, we will take that too. But anything that can help us be better, if you've got any ideas, we're all ears, and eyes in the case of reading tweets and whatnot. We're also on Facebook as well. So check us out on all the social media platforms. If you're watching this for the first time, please hit that subscribe button so you can be notified on future releases of videos. And please drop a like on this video as well. Those of you in the chat, David, Michael, thank you for coming. I think everybody else had internet problems today, Richard.
Makes sense to me. This
is our average turnout, though, for chat, though, isn't it? So that's fine. So... want to thank you all for listening. And with that, we will catch up with you guys again next week. For Richard, I'm Frank. Make sure you tell your paisans about us. Ciao.